So there's a volcano that all the rock the fort's made out of came from that volcano over there. It's all volcanic rock. And that there's where the fellow that built the fort, he lived in that cabin while they built the fort.
Maybe right now they're showing a film in there, but we can maybe poke in when we come back. So just to show you the craftsmanship that they had then, I like to have you put 1 foot on the wood, 1 foot on the pavers, close one eye and sight down that wall.
Oh yeah.
It's very straight.
Yeah, it is.
These are the original doors that they built in 1867. Originally they were filled with sand so they could stop a bullet. There's 6 rooms on the north and 6 rooms on the south. They all have a fireplace, that's why there's 6 chimneys. And those holes between the chimneys are gun ports. There are 25 in all. You can see some along the top of the back wall. So 2 of the services that they built the fort to protect were the stagecoach and the post office. This is the stage office. They had 2 stagecoaches that came every day. One came north from St. George and one came south from Salt Lake. And the fort had the responsibility of supplying fresh horses for those stagecoaches. So that was 12 horses a day. And you can see how thick these walls are. Even these interior walls are made of rock. That's why it's cool in here. And in the winter time when they had a fire, it was nice and warm. News from all over the West. This picture is Brigham Young. He was the 2nd president of our church, and he's the one who commissioned this telegraph line that went north-south. And these jars on the floor are primitive batteries. They're filled with copper sulfate and sulfuric acid, and then submerged zinc and copper. You can see the hole in the floor goes to the root cellar. They fed between 30 and 40 people a day here, so they had to have a place to store their fruits and vegetables during the winter. And the furs and Indian blankets, Ira Hinckley was a very good horseman and he trained horses, and then the Indians would come from all over to trade with him. And they came here because he was fair and he never cheated them. And when they came, he took them into the dining room and fed them, which is why he never had any battles here.
You ever been down there yourself?
I have not. We're not allowed to cross this barrier.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to.
They used washboards and lye soap, which would do the job, but eventually between the two it helped wear your clothes out. And when their clothes wore out, they never wasted anything. They just tore them into strips and wove rugs out of them. This is the bathtub. And this is a shoulder yoke. The boys in the family could put that on and then they could carry 2 full buckets of water. It was a full-time job just keeping water supply and all the firewood for the fireplaces. The dining room. Mrs. Hinckley was known as the good mother of the road, and she fed lots and lots of people over those years that they operated the fort. And you know, they weren't just surviving here, they kind of did it with a certain amount of style. They had nice dishes, they had nice linens. Those little stars on the cutting board are butter molds. They even molded the butter into a shape. They had a herd of 30 cattle for the use of the fort, and we are told that she churned 10 to 12 pounds of butter a day for cooking and eating. Lots of work. And cooking on a wood burner.
So she said this whole side of the fort's the working side, and the other side over there is all the guest rooms.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So I was telling these folks, those trees out front were planted by Ira Hinckley who built the fort.
Oh.
They're over 150 years old.
Oh, wow.
And until just a few years ago, there were mature trees here inside the fort, but they got to be a safety hazard because they were that old too.
Yeah.
They had to take them out, but before they did, they took cuttings, so these trees are the babies of the original trees.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So where are you guys headed?
He's got a reunion, a 60-year reunion in Heber City.
Oh, okay. All right.
In fact,
A
Carol,
bunch of things were go ahead with your tour. We'll just join in.
This is my aunt and uncle.
that's my, they know us.
As the guy said, when the fort was running, they had the creek running right through the front door and out the back door. They diverted the creek, and they brought the creek right through here. So they have fresh water all the time. Another gun port. There's gun ports up high too there on that walkway. There's a gun port right there.
These are the guest rooms and the family rooms. Visitors, 12 altogether.
They put up 60 people for
Oh,
their
yeah.
This is a guest room. She said after 5 days on the stagecoach, this was like heaven, getting a night in a room like this.
This side are bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything you see in the fort is from that time period, from the 1860s to the 1890s. A few things are really good reproductions. I can't tell which ones they are, but this blanket is called a peacock coverlet, and you can see the peacock design. And if you look down there by the floor, you can see the year it was made.
1955. Wow.
Here, if you want to come in. So you see the picture of Hiram and Joseph Smith over the mantle, and the
Hey,
Nauvoo
Connie,
Temple.
look this way.
Oh, I don't want to be in it. I think close up.
Ira Hinckley was a young man. He was an orphan, and he heard about Joseph Smith, so he traveled to Nauvoo because he was curious, and he heard Joseph Smith preach, and that's where he joined the church. He was 15 years old. And this little book on the table is the Book of Mormon, written in the Deseret alphabet. It was developed by Brigham Young to help the immigrants.
Is the bottom one for going to the bathroom, or
That's a chamber pot for the bathroom.
the one on the bottom?
And the top is the
For
bowl and
wa-
pitcher for washing up.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
They had an outhouse behind the fort, but in the middle of the winter here, come on in. So Ira Hinckley married his first wife in Nauvoo, and then when the Saints were driven out, they came west. And she and his brother both died on the same day at Sweetwater. They had cholera. And she left him with an infant daughter, so he had to finish the journey with a baby in tow. And after he got to Salt Lake, he went back to Nauvoo twice to help other people come west.
Really? All the way from Salt Lake
Yes, yes.
back to Nauvoo?
And then after he'd been in Salt Lake for a few years, he married two sisters, Adelaide and Angeline Noble. He married Adelaide first. And this is Angeline in the photo book, and the two little boys are Bryant and Edwin Hinckley.
Oh, Bryant.
And Bryant is the
Was
father of Gordon B. Hinckley, who was the 16th president of the church.
Look at those shoes.
Oh my. So this room is decorated as a girls' room because they had more daughters than sons. And between the two sisters, they had 19 children. 3 of those died in infancy. So with the daughter from the first wife, they had 17 children in all. And I love this room. I love the sewing machine because I actually learned how to sew on a treadle sewing machine.
I have one.
My mom had one, and she thought that'd be a good experience for me, so. And I love this quilt because that little pioneer woman didn't have enough fabric to finish her pattern.
Oh.
But she did what all good pioneers do. She persisted. She didn't give up. Her family needed a warm blanket, so she used whatever she could find
Wow.
and finished her. This is another family room.
Okay.
And these 3 rooms were really where the family lived. And at the end of the day, Ira Hinckley, wherever he was in the fort, would yell out, "Let's go overside." And the family would gather in these 3 rooms, and they would have scriptures and prayer. And that photo on the wall is Ira and Adelaide when they were a bit older. And the little rocking chair under the photo belonged to them when they lived here. And, you know, people were smaller then. The furniture is very small.
I'd have been a normal sized guy back then.
Yeah, better having Cove Fort days, and we have artisans and musicians and all kinds of people coming, stagecoach and wagon rides. And we have a hair artist coming, so I'm interested to watch that.
Oh,
Somebody who knows how to do that.
next
Oh my
weekend,
gosh.
maybe we'll come back and take a ride on the
On a stagecoach.
Stagecoach.
Yeah,
So what day will that
next
be?
Saturday.
Friday and
next weekend.
Saturday.
I guess you can see them coming from.
Yeah, they can see a long ways.
Things?
Yes.
Okay.
So the flag, there are only 37 states. So this is a 37-star flag. So look at how old the glass is. It's wavy, old wavy glass. The glass is actually liquid. It flows over time. 100-year-old glass is twice as thick at the bottom as it is at the top because it flows like water, like molasses, very slow.
And this was a very essential and very busy job because he had to fix all the wagon wheels of all the travelers that stayed here. He had to shoe their horses and oxen. He had to shoe those horses that the stagecoach used as well. It finally got to be such a big job that they had to hire other blacksmiths that worked here. But if you come and look back in here, the forge is back in this corner, and they think this is the original bellows from the fort. Lots of interesting tools in there too. And up here, you can see all the different kinds of shoes that a good blacksmith had to know how to make. These on this end are oxen shoes. They're split because they're just a cow, basically. This is a grinding stone for sharpening your tools. And this device was for shoeing oxen. They can't stand on 3 feet while they're being shod like horses do. So they lead them in here, the bands went under their belly, and then they just crank on this and lift them right up off the platform and put their shoes on.
Like a car hoist
Yeah.
for cows.
Yeah. And with that creek running through the fort, they had big ponds back here. And in the winter, when those ponds would freeze, they would cut the ice into blocks and store it in this ice house. The walls were filled with sawdust. They'd cover the ice with sawdust, and they could usually keep ice till the middle of July.
It smells like sawdust. You can see it's thick. How long would it keep that?
Till about the middle of July.
Middle of July?
So they'd have a place to hang their meat and put their milk.
So it's a hay derrick.
Yep, that's a hay derrick.
It's big.
They didn't bale their hay, they just put it in big stacks, and that hook could pick up almost a whole wagon load of hay and get it up to the top of the stack or into the top of the barn. Yeah, this gravel is quite a pain. Rawhide. You can see some of that rawhide attached.
So they just bury these to make a fence.
And if you wonder how they got 4,500 tons of volcanic rock across the valley. This is a dump wagon. If you look inside,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see how that worked.
Oh, yeah. The bottom opens up. They just dump it out.
Elder barn in Utah Territory, and the original barn deteriorated. This one's as exact a replica as they could make it, and it will house 27 horses. This is an original John Deere plow. The really cool thing about this barn is the way it's constructed. If you look up here, you can see each big beam has a slot with a board that goes into the slot, through the upright beam, and into the next beam, and then oak pegs are driven clear through. It's called mortise and tenon, and if you look all the way to the ceiling, you see pegs. There are no nails holding the barn together. When they rebuilt this barn, they had to go back east to the Amish to engineer it. And they designed it, cut it all out, and then they sent it out here and they put it together.
And then we're going to have artisans in here.
Each stall will hold 2 horses, and there's a manger at the head of each stall. And originally they had a trap door over those mangers so they could just go up into the hay loft above and port the hay right down into the
Yeah, it's
manger.
right there. Then does it.
I don't know why that happened. This little buggy's called a roundabout. It was fast and light. It was kind of a Corvette of its day. See that big beam up there, and these pieces here are from the original barn. So you can see it had the same kind of construction.
Where do they get the salt from? They bring it with them, or is they find
There's a salt mine somewhere where they get that. We could go take a peek in there for it.
salt roof? Low door.
This is where the cowboys lived. These are all things they used. They slept in bunks so they could put their saddles underneath because their saddles were very, very protected. That was their most important tool. And this is the brand of Ira Nathaniel Hinckley. And that frame, that paper in that frame has all of the brands that were registered in the Utah Territory at that time. And his is about halfway down on the left side.
Did they actually put the cow bells on the cows?
They did. Every herd, they say, has an old bossy, and if they put the bell on her and they could get her going in the right direction, all the other cows